Hello, I'm Prathyush, and today I want to talk to you about Martin Scorsese's Killers of the Flower Moon. The way we see films in Indian theatres, we cannot but insist on dissecting a film in two, a first half, a second half. With Hollywood films, this break is more jarring, often cut in the middle of a scene or sometimes even in the middle of a sentence. The interval gives a forceful pause. With Martin Scorsese's 3.5-hour long Killers of the Flower Moon, this pause allows for breath. In typical Scorsese fashion, the dialogues are rattling, breathless, the names piling on, the subplots like blooming algae infesting with increasing density what is, in essence, a simple story. That of American greed and how it incarnated as a murderous appetite post-World War I, when white people were slitting the lives of Osage County residents, Native Americans who had just come into oil money, so white people can usurp it. But this interval, this serrated slicing of the film, serves another, more interesting, more critical purpose. It allows us to reflect more intensely on something Scorsese is known for, to make the exceptional feel unexceptional, mundane and worldly. He's telling the story of the making of the American conscience, of mass murder and demographic restructuring, and yet the film's pose is casual, almost ambivalent, its language garbled and simple, its embellishments minimal. No moment is allowed to transcend this worldliness. Take even the scene of spiritual silence when Leonardo DiCaprio, who plays a white man, and Lily Gladstone, who plays a Native American, are seated on a table, side by side as it rains outside. The first look of this film. This unexceptionalness of the world, where even hallucinations feel factual, as though it's keeping us at an arm's length, made me uncomfortable. During the interval, I went down the list of Scorsese films trying to remember to what end does he use this style? Will the distance between the spectator and screen ever collapse? When will he flip the film, showing us what this dispassionate distance is capable of becoming? In some sense then, the film hinges on the working of this becoming. It is fragile until a hypnotic final scene where irony and sincerity, hope and despair become one in a rapturous, playful, gorgeous swirl. Ernest Barkhart, played by Leonardo DiCaprio, comes back to Osage County after fighting in World War I. Not as a soldier, but as a cook. Already his masculinity is being poked at, being made fun of. A man from the war who never really went to war. His uncle, William Hale, played by Robert De Niro, a local bigwig, helps him settle down with a job as a driver. But this settling down also includes a sinister ploy to get Ernest to marry Molly Kyle, played by Lily Gladstone, an Osage woman, then murder her immediate relatives, and finally inherit her oil money. As the film notes, this liquid gold made the Osage County Native Americans the richest people per capita across the globe, and white people wanted in, one way or another. Based on the non-fiction book of the same name by David Grann, adapted by Scorsese and Eric Roth, the film also is broken in two parts almost naturally. The first about the setting up of the empire of greed and the piling of dead bodies. The second is the police procedural, where Tom White, played by Jesse Plemons, an agent from the Bureau of Investigation, which would go on to become the FBI, is parachuted into Oklahoma to get to the heart of these murders and put the accused on trial.
I was sent down from Washington, D.C. to see about these murders.
See what about them?
See who's doing it.
In an interview with the New Yorker critic Richard Brody, Scorsese noted that in the initial drafts, and I quote, "the procedural overwhelmed the personal story," end quote. And so over time, that part of the story kept shrinking. In the film, it's played out straight with no crookedness, no bumbling notoriety that is seen elsewhere throughout the film. Or notoriety that's imprinted on the sound design that's constantly, rhythmically strumming in the background as though anything could explode. Emotionally, physically, psychologically, even culturally. Gladstone's performance is built on the things you can do with silence, with a strong, steady, knowing gaze and an unwavering voice. What the gaze knows is not clear, and Scorsese never makes it clear. But that it is knowing is clear. It's frustrating the way the film deals with her character, leaning so heavily on her performance that in the later parts of the film she withers away in the film's memory. There is a sense that the Native Americans in this film are too trusting, too naive. In interviews, Scorsese even said that he got that impression from conversations with people, that they were, and I quote, guileless. There is an essentializing here of character and identity that is a little discomforting. The film's perspective is entirely aligned with white men, though it never condones their violence, merely observing it. You see their sinister games, their silly banter, and you realize how cruelty does not need to feel exceptional. Molly's guardian in the film, for example, belongs to the Ku Klux Klan. As she walks out of his office, there's a doormat, K-I-G-Y, Klansman, I greet you. In a later scene, you see him and his Klansmen march a street during a procession in their white conical hats. The horror of their beliefs gets folded into the mundane conversations around finance, the highs and the hellos. This is life as it is lived among blood, and Scorsese's cinema is a returning to it. There is a central question, however, which hangs over the head of the film. Does Ernest truly love Molly? If so, what is this love that allows him to feel tenderness towards her with the same tenacity with which he's poisoning her throughout her diabetes medication? Can you destroy the thing you love? This is not self-destructing in love, a trope that has been milked in cinema. It's destroying the other, the very object of love. It's this central question, the central hanging question, that lends Killers of the Flower Moon its emotional distance. Nothing is allowed to immerse you, as though Scorsese is taunting the cinematic spectator, asking, are the bare-faced facts of murder not enough? What are the demands cinema makes on real life, and why do we keep furthering these demands? While we want a film, Scorsese gives us a reckoning. Let me know in the comments what you thought about Killers of the Flower Moon and this review. If you like such videos, do subscribe to Reviews and More, and check out our website filmcompanion.in.